Bill Bales, welcome to Back Nine Report.
Thanks, Fred.
Hey, as I mentioned, you've been involved in golf simulators since 2002. You had to be one of the first guys around to get involved. You started the company About Golf, which you see everywhere. They're really high quality simulators. You've watched firsthand how the simulators have swept the country and are providing golfers, especially in the northern climates, an outlet for their golf in the winter months. That had to be exciting to be part of that all through those years.
Yeah, the industry's gone through a lot of changes, and I really wasn't there at the very front end of it. There were some pioneers that, did some things with pretty rudimentary technology. And when I got involved, I had been in the software development business, and primarily games. We produced Microsoft Golf and other products since 1990. And it was actually the foundation of Microsoft Golf that became the software in the About Golf simulator, along with phased array radar, the same architecture TrackMan uses, except for before TrackMan was founded. But so that makes me seem like I've been around a while, but there were some guys before me. I think I'm the oldest living guy now that's done it. But when I got started, simulators were really pretty much just big video games. There wasn't, the fidelity of the technology was not great. So the accuracy was not great. There's a lot that goes into it, but basically you're tracking the ball at launch. So you're getting velocity, spin, and trajectory. And then you have to have a trajectory physics model of basically an algorithm that determines from those launch conditions what the ball does. And between those two major pieces of technology, it was pretty mediocre when we got involved. And so one of the big things that made it, that gave us a disruptive leap was the radar, the phased array radar. Jumping ahead, so keep this brief. 2008, we had been working on. I had actually co-founded another company that produced an imaging system, basically machine vision at a very high level. And we were the first with true machine vision to release in 2008. Now it was a big disruptive leap over radar. And now, other than TrackMan, which I've heard is now going to be integrating a little bit of vision as well. I'm not 100% sure of that. It's a rumor I heard, but other than that, basically all of the major products are using the same, some derivative of machine vision as we introduced in 2008. And a number of systems have reached critical mass of accuracy. And along with that, software has gotten better and better. And there's several software packages that work with simulators that are actually very good.
Bill, just as you kind of alluded to there's a lot of technology, a lot of questions about golf simulator industry. And so for someone that's looking at it for the first time or wanting to go to a simulator or maybe purchase a simulator, you founded a company called Clarity Golf. Tell us what Clarity Golf is and how that can help guys checking out simulators.
Well, there's what Clarity is today and what Clarity is going to become. We were at About Golf, just backing up a little bit, we were known as the innovators in the industry. We introduced force plates and simulators, cameras, integrated cameras, and we were first with seamless screens. Now there are screen products out there made specifically for simulators. A big long list of innovations, and what we're looking to do is sort of bring the innovation back to the industry. And we have a lot of stuff we're going to be releasing over the next 2-3 years. Today we're really two things. We are what I call a simulator aggregator. So what that means is, in the old days, at the beginning, or back when we started, to get a high-end simulator, you went to a company, a brand, and you bought a simulator, and it was all of their stuff, their enclosure, their software, or the software that they had for their product, their tracking. It was About Golf, Full Swing, HD came on later, and now there's more. But and those sort of what I call vertical companies still exist, and they're still very big. But there's two new segments really. One is what I call the aggregators. That would be sort of like an AV dealer that is a dealer for 5 different kinds of speakers and 5 different kinds of amps and 5 different kinds of projectors and different screens. And you go to them and they aggregate a home theater for you, but they don't possess any of the technology. It's not their proprietary technology. It's off the shelf products that they're dealers for. And so, and because of the way what I call the component segment of the industry is expanded, you can go and buy, give me 15 minutes and I can go online and I can buy everything online to put together a simulator that performs at the highest level. Have the stuff shipped in, which actually kind of leads to the third segment that's really gotten big, which is DIY. So there actually are a lot of buyers out there that go online, they research it, and they go buy a Unicore tracking or a SkyTrack at the low end, or a Foresight, or they can even buy a TrackMan tracker and build their own system by themselves. They can go online and buy enclosures. They can go online and they get the software. They can buy the projectors. Obviously, there's forums and people learn from it. But the problem is in this industry today is that there is an amazing dearth of accurate information on all this stuff, whether you want to do DIY, whether you want to go with an aggregator, have them do it for you, or whether you want to go to a major brand and buy it from them. At the very high end, people basically, they ask around, people say about golf, they'll say HD, they'll say TrackMan, they'll say Foresight, whatever it is. And, then they'll go and buy a turnkey system. But the thing is, like, as example, I have a customer that was looking at, I think he was really considering TrackMan. Well, his room was too small, first of all, for TrackMan because it needs more length. But he was looking at spending for a custom installation between $45,000 and $50,000. We're doing it entirely for him, as acting as an aggregator for $25,000. And we did it, we gave him free consulting at the front end. So and he decided we gave him a plan. He could have gone elsewhere. He could have done it himself, but he ended up engaging us, and we're good either way, which speaks to the fact that we also are, I believe, the only legitimate consultant in the industry that will provide across the board objective information and true knowledge about all of the components, all of the considerations you have to make. And in all these discussions of framing this, we're totally free. And you don't have to buy anything from us. There's no strings attached. You don't get an email blast. You got to do this. You got nothing. You just email me, BillBales@clarity.golf, and I answer. It's my email address, and I answer everybody. And as long as the volume is such that I can keep up with it, I'm going to keep doing it. And then we'll have a team that helps me. But the point is that we're determined that we're going to provide free advice. We've had people come to us. I've given them a whole plan, and they've gone off and done a DIY, and I'm happy with it. I made a great friend that way. I've got people that have come to me, and I showed them how to often fit a round peg in a square hole because they figured out their space, made their own decisions. It was ill-conceived, but I helped them work it out so they'd have a robust and elegant setup. In other cases, I've got one client in New York who built out a space, basically expanded his basement and dug out and whatever, and added on, and he thought he had it just right. And, we went through it. And what he's doing now is he's re-permitting. He's going to blow out 2 walls, and he's going to enlarge the space. That's a very good example of why, somebody, people wouldn't hurt them to take my offer of free advice, because a 5-minute conversation, I can get them on the right path. Was a house that later sold when it went on the market for $100 million. So it was a pretty fancy house. Actually, the first house in the United States listed at $100 million. And the simulator we had to design for them had a giant cutout in the screen for a big beam that went through the middle. the sacrifices people. I had one guy that built a room for his simulator. It wasn't right. Literally, he ended up putting it in his living room, and I promise you, his wife was not amused. So, just simple answers to simple questions, and then the truth and honesty about this stuff. The big companies, they tend to have very high overheads. They're frankly, I mean, I found About Golf. I saw it happen after I left About Golf. I told you earlier I left for personal reasons, and we brought in other people, but they got very careless on cost of goods. They replaced me with 5.5 people at all salaries more than I was making. There are a lot of these big companies that are very fat, but they're fat because their margins are egregious, absolutely egregious in my opinion. So I was asked the other day, actually, I just got an executive membership at National Golf Foundation, and their chief marketing officer. So how do you charge $20,000 to $25,000 less? I said, well, we make $20,000 to $25,000 less. That's how we do it. We don't make very much, but the other guys make a huge amount.
Bill, as I've used simulators now for several years, Toledo is kind of like a golf mecca. I think there's 29 simulators in town now, but they're all very busy. And so you got to make a tee time maybe over a week in advance most of the time. But I use them for really one reason. I go in over the winter time just to kind of keep my swing a little bit in tune, get some exercise, and look at the numbers a little bit. You alluded to it a little bit ago about spin rate, launch angle, ball flight, some of these things. But also the two factors: what numbers does the person want and need? And number two, how much are they willing to spend? You don't have to put a system in for 25,000 or 40,000. You can go down probably almost close to $1,000 by the time that if you get just the basic stuff, and you can help people figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I did an interview a couple of days ago, and the fellow has I forget what brand it was, but it was a $250, give or take, single antenna Doppler radar system. And he said, well, tell me about this. This is radar, TrackMan's radar. Well, TrackMan has, I think, 6 antennae, 2, I might be wrong on this because they've advanced, but I believe their latest system, as I read, has two what so-called phased array systems. So it's like just the short version of it. It's like stereo radar and 3-dimensional radar. So it gets positional data on the ball, timestamped for its entire flight, however far it can watch it, and you can do a whole lot with that data. But the system that this fellow had that was 200 is just basically, it's like a radar gun the cops use or you use in baseball for pitching. It gives you velocities. So, it'll give you the velocity of the club head and the velocity of the ball. So what it does is it has some formulas in there where if you tell them, say I'm hitting a 7-iron, so now it has an average launch angle, and then it might factor in, into their physics, a slightly different launch angle based on the velocity of the ball, because it knows what a 7-iron velocity about should be. And then it cobbles together a distance for you. Okay. So you can actually do that, and then have a little net and a hitting mat and practice indoors. And it's really not bad because you're not going to get accurate ball flight. Golf is really, the biggest part of golf is just witnessing ball flight. When you're on the golf course, subconsciously, you iteratively, reactively look at every shot. You react to every shot and make subconscious changes in your swing, shot after shot after shot. Same on the range, because you witness ball flight. So with a cheap unit, you're not going to be able to do anything with ball flight, but just reacting to club speed or ball velocity. And then, reaching a point, just iteratively reaching a point where you feel like you're at an optimum speed velocity for your game. And then what you do is you repeat it. And that's proprioception. That's very, very important in any sport. Repeating something, you're creating what people call muscle memory. It's really motor programs in your spine. But It's the same concept. And so it's actually very good. I've told people, just go into the simulator and key in on anything you want. Well, what should I keep? I don't just whatever data is there, you key in on what people typically will key in on club speed or ball speed and or distance, or they'll just look at distance if you have a system that can give you ball flight. And then you just hit shots, and then you iterate until you feel comfortable that you're hitting a maximum shot or an optimum shot, and then you just repeat it, and that makes I guarantee you get better. The thing about the higher end simulators compared to the $250 radars, you not only get more accurate data, although the velocity is very accurate with radar. You not only get accurate data across the board on all the launch conditions, you can witness ball flight, inside. Now you've got the whole package. And you just key in on anything you want. You're not going to key in on everything. You're going to just work on one thing. Then you're going to iterate, and you get better.
Yeah, I had someone who bought a simple system, and they wanted to know what the numbers meant and put it in their home. And so I went over and talked with them just last week, actually, and said, here's just a couple numbers. This is just all you need to look at. And work on those things, and that'll be fine. Hey, we've been talking with Bill Bales, whose new company, Clarity Golf, is out there to help someone who maybe wants to put a golf simulator in their home, looking to purchase some components, how best to go about it. Bill, what's the best way to find you?
Bill Bales at clarity.golf or Bill Bales at claritygolf.com, or just go to clarity.golf.
Thank you so much, Bill. We really appreciate it. He's got a ton of knowledge in this area. This is a guy you should talk to if you're looking at spending a bunch of money. Bill, thanks again.
Thank you so much, Fred.